Okay, let's do another quick example here, or quick sample of the dimensioning process. So this is a pretty basic drawing. I don't think that this is challenging from a geometrical point of view, but it's going to give us a couple of things that we can dimension that are a little bit different than the last video. So the first thing I want to do, again, to reiterate the AutoCAD dimensioning workflow. So I'm going to go through these 8 steps again. Okay. So step number 1 is complete the drawing in model space. Done. Step number 2 is select a layout to plot the drawing. All right. So I'm going to plot this again on the A3. This is a metric drawing, so A3. So I selected the layout. Now step number 3 says go to floating model space. So I go to floating model space by double clicking inside here. And I want to adjust the scale and the location of the object to fit the border. So I'm going to go here to, let's try 1 to 1. That's kind of too small, I think. Let's see if we can get to 2 to 1. So 2 to 1. Yeah, all right. I can get 2 to 1 in there. It's going to be tight. I'm not going to lie, but I think we can get 2 to 1 in there. Pretty well. I think we can get 2 to 1. Use 2 to 1. So I'll use 2 to 1. All right, and I'm going to lock it. All right, and then we'll go on to step number 4, which says go to the model tab. So I go to the model tab over here. And step number 5 says set the annotation scale equal to the viewport scale. So here, I need to set this at 2 to 1. Now this, again, I said this in the last video, this is where some of you are just going to drop the ball. All right, you got to do this part or your dimensions will be the wrong size, okay? And then you'll get dinged for points. All right, so 2 to 1. Now, here's the key. When you do this, nothing changes on the drawing, right? So it's correct 2 to 1, but nothing changes on the drawing. What will change will be the dimension size. All right, but we'll see that in a bit. So that's step 5. Now step 6 says selected dimension style. So I'm going to go to annotate. Yep, and we're on ISO isometric. It's an annotative style. Step number 7 says set the current layer to the dimension layer. So I'll go back to home and set this to dimension. And then now I'll start to dimension. All right, so let's understand this object again. Like I said, this is a pretty basic object. It's basically 2 cylinders stacked on top of each other. We have a cylinder here. That's the large, that it has a height to it, but it's smaller in diameter than this cylinder right here, which is a larger diameter, but it's a thinner cylinder. And you can see the circular arrangement here. And then in the large center cylinder, we have a pair of holes. We have one hole, smaller diameter going through, and then a larger hole that opens it up. I would say this is kind of like a counter bore, but it's not really like a counter bore. We're not going to dimension it like a counter bore. And then we have 3 holes arranged around the perimeter. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about or show you how to do the dimensioning for that. All right. So again, if I was to put up my breakdown of the geometric primitives here, I'll go ahead and do that. Again, this is just for your purposes. So I have a large diameter cylinder, a small diameter cylinder. All right. Then I have a large negative cylinder, a medium negative cylinder. That's the middle one. All right, that's this one right here. And then I have 3 small negative cylinders. Okay, so again, this is just so that you can see how I'm accounting for everything and how I'm marking things off. So this is going to be very straightforward. Cylinders need a diameter and a thickness. Okay, whether they're positive or negative cylinders, they need a diameter and a thickness, okay, or a depth. Positive cylinders should be dimensioned in their rectangular view. So let's do that first. So the large diameter cylinder is this one right here. So I'm going to go to linear, and I'm going to choose this right here, and I'm going to go right there. Okay. Now remember that needs to have a diameter symbol in there. Okay. So to do that, I double click on the number. The cursor is blinking in front, and I type in %%C, and then I close the text editor. All right. So now this also needs a thickness. So I'm going to go to linear, and I'm going to dimension the thickness right there, and we'll pull it out right about there. I can always adjust the location once I get everything in. So I'm not too worried about whether the 60 is here or here or here. I can always adjust that. So this looks good in first glance. All right, so that is that part done. Now we do the small diameter cylinder, and this is going to be the same thing. We put that in there, we go like this, and we double click in there, %C, whoops, don't hit enter, sorry, close text editor. And now we want the thickness of this, or the height. All right, so here we have two choices. All right, so let me show you. We can go like this from the end here to the end here. Or we can go from here to here. What's going to determine which one is best for this? Because either one can be correct. What's going to determine whether we go with the 38 or the 48 is really going to be the function of the part. So in other words, let's say that this feature, this part, this cylindrical feature right here is going to slip into a hole. Then the 38 might be best, because then I would know the depth of the hole needs to be 38 to match the height of the cylinder. All right. If, on the other hand, this was going to sit on something and this surface was going to be butted up against another surface and I cared about the height, then maybe the 48 would be most appropriate. I might also say that the 48 is good because it gives an overall height. So understand that to understand the total height of the object, if we do the 38, we have to add 38 plus 10. All right. And so that's that kind of, because we don't know the function of this part, I'm going to opt for this. Okay. Because that does double duty of giving the height of this from the bottom, but also the overall height of the part. All right. So that's that. All right. So we'll get that in there. Now we do the large negative cylinder, which is right there. And that's a hole. So it should be dimensioned in the, circular view. So I'm going to go and I'm going to do this. All right. And the depth. Well, we could do the depth here. Maybe I'll show you how to do that, but we probably should end up doing the depth here. Okay. So that is appropriate. Oh, look what I did there. See, that's not good because I don't have the gap. So I'm going to click on that, pull that grip back up to there. And now that's appropriate. Okay, this is okay right there. All right, so now what if I wanted to put the 23 over here? We know the depth symbol, so this is the first time I'm really going to kind of show you how to add these special symbols. Okay, so pay attention because it's a little weird, or there's a few steps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on the text right there. All right, so I get the blinking cursor. All right. Now I'm going to use the arrow keys to position the cursor on the right hand side on the after the 19, and I'm going to put a space in there, and I'm going to put the depth. All right. Now it's important that I put the number in there before I put the special symbol, because the special symbol will change the font and it'll mess up the numbers. Okay. So just trust me on this. So I'm going to put in 23. Now I'm going to position the cursor back in front of the 23. That's where I want the depth symbol to go. And I'm going to go up here to the symbol button. Click on that. The depth is nowhere here. Thank you, AutoCAD. And by the way, it's been like this for years, so we just have to get used to it. So we go to Other. All right. And here's where we choose the symbol that we want to use. So we want to use the GDT font. The GDT font. Okay. So if it's not there, you know, you're gonna have to find the GDT font. And it's alphabetical, so there it is right there. And then if you look closely, you'll see that symbol. And so here's where we copy it. All right, so watch. We click on that. We do select, copy, close, and then Control V. Now it puts a line in there, a new line in there. We need to backspace that. Backspace. Now here's the other thing. This font or this symbol comes in at the wrong size. So I'm going to highlight this and change this. See how it's 2.25? We need to change this to 3 because all the text should be 3 millimeters high. All right. And then we can go close text editor. All right. So yeah, that was a pain in the butt. I'm there with you, all right? But it's the same thing over and over again. So once you get that format, and I'll do it again for you, you'll be good to go, okay? So either the 19 depth 23 or the 19 and the 23. So let me just put that in there. So either this alone or this, okay? And now, that's the large negative cylinder. So let's cross that off. And now we do the medium negative cylinder, which is the one going through here. So again, circular view, diameter. So we can go in here like that. We can stretch that out, 9. And we don't really need a depth because it goes all the way through. So just the 9 is fine. The depth is actually 48, right? Okay. It helps to understand the manufacturing process. So you can imagine that if we were making this out of wood, we glue 2 cylinders on, or we take a large cylinder and we cut down this portion of the diameter. And then we're going to drill all the way through with the 9 millimeter. And then we're going to drill just 23 millimeters deep with the 19. Okay. And I think there's one other option here that I want to show you. Okay, so there's a lot of options as to how we can dimension these features here. Now, I said that this is kind of like a counter bore. We can dimension it like a counter bore, okay? And we can do that. Let me show you in the CAD standard because, you know, I want to help you out. So here we go. There's the counter bore dimension right there. And you'll notice that it has a diameter and then a counterbore symbol and then the counterbore diameter and then a depth. The through, we can ignore that or we can add that. That's not a problem. Okay. So let's do that as the 1, 2, 3, 4th option here. All right. 4th option. So we go to diameter. We click on the smaller diameter. Oh, excuse me, we click on the larger diameter. Sorry, we'll go out like this. And now this gets a little bit tricky. Okay, so we have to understand what we're doing. What we're going to end up typing. I'm going to go ahead and enter that in here. What we're going to enter here is going to be the following. We're going to type in %C 9, and I'll go ahead and use the through just so I'm consistent. Through space counterbore symbol %19 depth 23. Okay. Now I'm going to reduce the counterbore and the depth with the symbols. I'm going to substitute the counterbore and the depth with the symbols, but that's what I'm going to type in right there. All right, so let's go through that process now. Double click on this. The cursor's blinking in front. I want to put, and you want to put, all the regular text in first before you put the special symbols. Okay? So right here, I'm going to type in 9 space through, enter. And then I'm going to go on the other end of that. I'm going to put a space and I'm going to put 23. Now let me position in front here and I'm going to go %%C. And then I'm going to position the cursor right in there. All right, now here we go. We go to symbol. We go to other. We bring up the GDT font and we choose the counterbore right there. And we go select, copy, close, Control C, whoops, Control V, Control V, backspace. Click on that and change the font size to 3. And then we position the cursor in front of the 23 and we repeat this. See what I said about this all being the same? Other. Depth symbol. Select, copy, close. Control V, backspace, highlight, 3. All right, and then that's it. And we close the text editor and there we go. Okay. So it's not, basically it's a little bit of work. It's a lot of repetition. All right. But once you do it a few times, you'll get better at it. All right. And there we go. All right. So let me just kind of circle everything so you can see what this is. So this is a standalone. So here, let me do this. That's here. Let me do it like this. I want to be clear about what. That's one option. Okay. Another option is that. Okay. And I'll put that on a different color. We'll make that red. All right. And then that, of course, goes with this. All right. And then this goes with that. All right. So the green and the let me put another one in here. So this, let me make this a little bit bigger. I know I'm doing this the hardest way possible, but I'm trying to just make it so that you can understand it. This is going to be green also, or we do and let's change that color to white. All right, so you have 3 options here. You can go with the green option, this one and this one. All right, because remember, we're trying to describe the whole, and we're trying to describe the holes. All right, and there are 2 holes here. So we have the green option, the larger hole with the depth and the smaller hole going through. With the green option, those are the 2 dimensions you need. If you go with the red option, that is the larger hole, but we're showing the depth over here on the right side view. And then we have the smaller hole diameter. Or you can put it all together in one symbol, one dimension, and that's right there. So those are your 3 options. Either of those 3 options are correct. There's no difference between the 3, right? But they have to be done in the same grouping. Okay, you can't mix and match. So I'll leave those all there. All right, and let's put a line through here. All right, and now we have the 2 small. Whoops, this should be. Hey, That should be 3 small negative cylinders. Why didn't somebody say something? There we go, 3 small negative cylinders. All right. So how do we dimension these? Well, we're going to first dimension. We already got the thickness, so really the only thing we need to do is dimension the, actually I'll pull it down here. We need to dimension the diameter, right? And then that's it. Well, except there's 3 of these, so we need to double click in front of here, 3 capital X space, close text editor. All right. So that's that. Now we're not done yet because we still have to dimension the location. Now the thing about this object is the only thing that really needs to be located, because everything else is located on the center lines, the only things that need to be located are the 3 smaller holes arranged around the perimeter. So here's how we dimension this, and let me see if there was an example on in the CAD standard. I don't know whether I put one of those on here. Let's try. Maybe I don't have an example on there. So this is going to be your first example of that. So we need to locate it. We need to locate it on the bolt circle, and that's the bolt circle right there. All right, so we can just very easily go to diameter, choose this, and go like that. All right, that's easy. And we need to add BC. BC stands for bolt circle, so we can double click on this and go after that and say BC. No periods, just BC. That stands for bolt circle. All right, and then that's it. All right. We do need to give an angle, right? Because we don't know the angle between all these, right? So we know it's on a 45 millimeter diameter, but we don't know the angle between these. So, what we can do is we can do equally spaced. So we want to say over here, right? On this, we can click on this. And we can say, here, I'll show you the abbreviation. All right, the abbreviation we're looking for is equally spaced. So equally spaced right there. EQLSP, right? So we go over here and we're going to type in EQLSP. Whoops, sorry. EQLSP. That's it. Okay. That's it. All right. Now, there's one other thing that we can do here. Just like we did with this hole and we combine the dimensions, we can actually combine this and this into one node. All right. And we can do that. I'll show you here. I'll put in the new dimension right there. And let's double click in that. So we go 3x space. Space EQLSP. And then we say on a %% C45 BC. Actually, I like this up here. There, it kind of balances it out better. And there we go. Actually, I take that back. I like this down here. That looks better. Okay? So, again, we have a choice between this and this together or just this. Both are equally valid. All right? And friends, that is all of the dimensioning for this. All right? There's nothing else that we need to locate. All right? Now, I've given you some options on this. I'll go ahead and clean this up and show you the way that I would probably do it. I kind of like to split this up, so I wouldn't do this one, so I'm going to delete that. I like this being combined in one, so I'm going to take those away, and I'm going to take that away. All right. And let's reposition this a little bit better right there. That one's good. And let's look at it in, because remember we're a little bit tight. Yeah, see, we're a little tight there. So I think maybe this dimension right here is going to have to flip up to the top. So let me show you how to do that. That's pretty easy. So this 48, I can just erase it and put another 48 in here, or I'll just show you. You can use grips, and we can move this up here. We can move this up here. I'm not saying you should. This is probably not the smartest way to do it. And we can move that right there. And let's see how that fits. Yeah, it fits okay. It's not great, but you know, it'll work. All right. So that's our second example of the dimensioning. There was a lot of work here with the special symbols, which was very important. You're going to need to use these, right? So make sure you watch this over and over again to help you with that process. All right. So I'll see you in the next video.